But you'll have to excuse me because I'm not very much updated with the recent events since I left administration 7 years ago. So now what I see is, again, as I said, that the Tibetan Youth Congress has a lot of challenges. And then in recent times, before the Tibetan Youth Congress mission is freedom as it is now, just as the Tibetan administration's mission is freedom, independence. The same. So there is no conflict. In fact, it helps each other. But ever since, like there is a shift or switch in the administration's mission, that is the middle way approach, as proposed by His Holiness, but rectified or voted by the Tibetan Assembly of Tibetan People's Deputies. So it has been a sort of big challenge for the Tibetan Youth Congress that I can understand. I remember one time when the General Youth Congress meeting was held in TIPA. That time I was the director there. And the president, the then president, was Topden Tsering, who is right now in New York, Office of Tibet. He even said before, when His Holiness presided over the meeting, and he said that the situation has come now that if you say for Tibetan independence, you are almost like labeled as anti-Tibetan establishment or anti-His Holiness. So that sheltered His Holiness a little bit, because at the back, when the function was over, even His Holiness said, is there something like that going on? But I didn't know. So, that was the situation, and I think it's still the same maybe for the Tibetan Youth Congress. So it's kind of a challenge right now. But what I think, and I have been waiting, is, okay, now when Tibetan Youth Congress has adopted or continued to adopt the same mission, it should come out with the concrete strategies and the programs that to meet those strategies, and then work on it. We only say that, okay, we always are for independence, and we don't really come up with different new things. There are not the same old routine sort of thing, but new schemes or new strategies or new programs to work on that. Then, that really would make a lot of sense. And then secondly, I have a doubt, even amongst the members of the Tibetan Youth Congress, how many seriously believe in what they say. You have to have a firm belief and firm commitment to what you believe in and say. Then the actions will follow. So therefore, that matter, in order to reinforce those things, I think the Tibetan Youth Congress should try to educate their members at least, and make them really believe that what they're standing for is really the right thing. And then, if there are 10,000 members, then 10,000 members can at least, if one member can convince other 5, there are 50,000 members. So I think this is how the public, opinion has to be changed. People has to be, educated. Well, I'm not saying what I am for, but I'm just trying to, as I'm trying to talk about the Tibetan Youth Congress. So I'm saying that maybe, these things perhaps need some kind of second thought and second redefining of the rules and activities and programs. And then my biggest concern now is maybe a few weeks earlier, the Professor Ngodup, the TIPA, Tibetan chairman of the cabinet, had an interview with the Voice of America, and in which he says that, well, if we look, for the future, as His Holiness always says, hope for the best but prepare for the worst. We are hoping that's what Rinpoche was saying, of course, a different language. So we are hoping that we should be able to go back to Tibet during the lifetime of His Holiness. But we're also preparing if this doesn't happen. if his holiness passes away before the settlement of Tibet takes place. So that time, from that evening onwards, I had been starting to think what we need to do, what are the things that we have to do. And one thing is, well, you know, we really need to strengthen our administration, the infrastructures, the institutions. We even do not know whether the Indian government allows us to continue, stay there, or work there. As Tenzin Tsundue said, he had that trouble. But even long time before, his holiness was also restricted from working abroad. So if that happens, you know, the political situation between China and India changes. You know, there are so many options there, so many things that are there which we really have to look. And I think for the Tibetan Youth Congress also, this is a high time we think about these things. There was a meeting, the talk by the Tenzin Tsundue and then the Tibetan Youth Congress president, Ngodup in New York. I happened to listen that through the live webcast, and I see a sense of frustration in the words of the president of Tibetan Youth Congress vis-a-vis the Tibetan establishments, especially Assembly and the Tibetan Kasha. So that gives me, that actually at that time I thought, well, there are shortcomings. There are a lot of maybe problems or defects, whatever, but we really need to work it out. If there are problems like that, like for instance, there was an election system that I think he mentioned. And this is the same problem that was there since we were in the Youth Congress in mid-70s. But we still can, make a change if there is a concerted effort and there's a public mass education about what's going on and what would be better for the future of Tibet. Because now the Tibetans, on the whole, is really becoming more wiser, the more pragmatic. They can really understand when you are able to convince them with the proper arguments and reasons. So this is also another thing that, instead of really getting frustrated that way, we should try to improve this within ourselves. And that might help the image of Tibetan Youth Congress too, in the long run, in the historical context that I'm saying. So, well, I understand it's a challenge for the Tibetan Youth Congress, and they are conflicting always, and it's really hard, but if you believe in something, we have to really work on it, no matter how difficult it is, but we really have to first, be sure that you believe in that, or your members believe in that. Sometimes I get a sort of doubt about it. So this makes the organization really not very strong. And then now, to sum up, since there are a lot of young kids here, young people here, well, I want to do something about the role of the young people in the nation building or in the nation, reviving Tibetan freedom or Tibetan self, whatever you may call. But the most important thing for us at this stage, for each individual, is the education. So as we mentioned earlier, we need a lot of specialized people. And when I was education secretary, when you go to the TCB school and give them a talk, I try to tell them, justify